That's the question that I get asked the most by far. And I'm sure it's not just unique to me. Almost anybody who has anything to do with woodwork gets asked the same question: is what do I put on my wood to protect it? And the first thing that people don't understand is that various woods require different things. So I always joke and say, if you take 10 wood guys and you put them in a room and you ask them all the same question, you're going to get 12 different answers. And that's because everyone's opinion is based on their experience. And sometimes they are forced to use, because of an architect or a contractor, they're forced to use products that they're unfamiliar with. And if you're unfamiliar with a product, it becomes difficult for you to wrap your head around it. You don't apply it correctly, or you get, you try and take shortcuts, and then it just ends up badly. I think that leaving your wood untreated is a bad idea. That's my view. People talk about the romantic idea of letting stuff go gray in the sun and let it age and all of that sort of stuff. It's fantastic for a couple of years, and then it turns very quickly. So it goes from gray and beautiful to white ant and rot and falling apart very, very quickly. It has like a tipping point. That said, there are things that you can do to your timber that leaves it looking as natural as possible. And that's quite a big thing nowadays. People talk about, like, I want my wood to look as natural as possible. I don't want it to even appear to have any finish on it. So I want my cake and I want to eat it. I want it natural, but I don't want to put anything on it. So it's very hard to get that. Look, let's just start here. The first thing you got to ask yourself is, where is this wood? Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it a vertical surface? Is it a horizontal surface? And believe you me, it makes a difference. Because if it's a vertical surface, it can take a certain kind of finish and you don't have to worry about people slipping on it. If it's a horizontal surface like a floor or a deck or something, then clearly you can't have something high gloss, because the second it gets wet, it's going to become slippery and it's going to become dangerous, and someone's going to end up on their bum next to the pool, and not because they wanted to. So you really just want to approach this thing with a little bit of common sense. If you're going to put something on indoor furniture, it doesn't matter as much whether it is a water-based product, a solvent-based product, or an oil-based product. It doesn't matter all that much. It comes down to how much you want to spend. It comes down to how natural you want the wood to look, how much you want the color to change, and or how you want the product to physically feel when you touch it. So those are the kinds of decisions that you're taking. And there are a huge array of products in that space for indoor furniture. As soon as you venture outside and the sun becomes involved, it becomes a really big problem, because now you have to juggle UV rays, you have to juggle rain, wind, humidity, all of that stuff. Wood behaves entirely differently outside to how it behaves inside. Remember, of course, that wood is a live thing, and it breathes and it lets moisture out and brings moisture in, and it never stops doing that. No matter what you think you've put on it, wood will always expand and contract in heat and cold. It will always let moisture in and it'll always let moisture out. That's just what it does. My view is, if you are going to go outside with something and you're going to put a finish on it, then it's about having options to go forward. Now, if you go straight to an oil-based finish, then you're fairly committed, because it means you can't put a water-based thing over that. You even get some silicone-based products. Now, when you're using a silicone-based finish, you are totally committed, because absolutely nothing sticks to a silicone-based finish. And it's very, very difficult to reverse that. You'd have to sand right through it, right down to bare wood, and possibly even damage the stuff that you're talking about. So your oil-based finishes are much the same in that you're stuck to oil. Your solvent-based finishes are also very, very difficult to reverse. And that's why I always say to people, if you can, start with a water-based finish on your outside furniture. You can get oils that are very, very low maintenance. There are products out there, things like Rubia Monocoat, things like Osmo, products that you can put on and leave on, and they last a very long time before you have to sort of reapply them. But those are relatively expensive. So you've got to, again, it's the decision between how much you want to spend and what result you want. But my view of life is that if you can start with a water-based product outside, you always have the option to go back and do a solvent-based over that or an oil-based over that, but you can't go the other way around. So it makes total sense to do that first. And there are some fantastic water-based products out there. If your decision is going to be based on the lowest possible amount of maintenance going forward, then you've got to look at things like long-lasting water-based products or high-end one-off oil-based products like Osmo or like Rubio Monocoat. There are solvent-based products that are specific to decking that are also very, very good. But again, you're committed to those. Once you go down that road, you're totally committed to those. Know also that for your outside stuff, the darker your color, I mean, all of these things can come in clear and gloss and all of that, but the darker your color, the higher the protection factor is from the sun. So if it's a darker color, it's going to last longer than a clear. The thing is that people think that there is timber that's maintenance free. There is literally no timber on earth that is maintenance free. The only maintenance free timber is timber that's being ignored. The only maintenance free timber is timber that you are ignoring because you're choosing to ignore it. Therefore it is maintenance free because you're making it so. There's no such thing as timber that you don't have to maintain. I mean, you do get products that are man-made products, that aren't timber products, that are molded products. Sure, those in a sense are maintenance free, but if you're talking about actual wood that comes from trees, it's definitely not maintenance free. Don't be tempted to half-ass it. Don't be tempted to use a product without doing all the things it's asking you to do. If it says clean the material before you put the stuff on, then clean the material. Don't ignore that step. If it says prime it before you use this product, put the primer on. If it says put 3 coats, for goodness sake, put 3 coats. Because without doing those basic things correctly, 100% of the time they won't behave like they're supposed to behave. The stuff that finishers can do, it's insane. You know, so they can handle heat, they can handle cold, they can handle expansion and contraction, they can, you know, waterproof stuff, they can protect against all kinds of different things. They can change color, they can, I mean, it's insane what is out there. It really is. So you got to just understand that now you have to rely on the person that's selling it to you to help you understand what it can do. So ask the questions. You know, don't be scared to ask, and don't be embarrassed that you don't know the answer. I mean, I don't know anything about motor cars anymore. I thought I used to, you know, when cars were simple, I'd be able to ask an intelligent question about cars, but not anymore. I got no clue. And it's like that with finish. You know, I know that finishes have become more complicated. And they've become complicated to become simple, if I'm making any sense. Cars have become complicated so that your life is simple. You can get into a car, put your phone down, it charges automatically. Okay, that's making your life more simple, but it's a very complicated thing. Same with finish. If you walk into a shop and you're buying finish, they can sell you a finish that is incredibly simple. But because it's incredibly simple, it has to be very, very smart. So you've got to understand that that's kind of how finishes can be, you know. So now that I've made you as confused as a chameleon on a Smartie box about finishes, or let's put this in the US context for those viewers out there across the pond, about as confused as a chameleon on a Skittles box. Let's just say that the best way forward for you is to ask questions. So that's what we're here for. If you have a question, drop a question in the comment section below. We will get back to you. It is complicated. It can be. It can also be very, very simple. Very often the answer is simple. So just drop us a line. We'll see if we can get you that simple answer. In the meantime, if you want to know more about plywood, how to use it, how to cut it, we've got lots of videos about that. If you want to see how projects get done with plywood, stick around. We're going to start doing some cool projects. So you can subscribe, you can ring the bell, we'll let you know when the new videos are out. You can drop us a thumbs up or a like, that'll be cool, thanks. And you know, just come and hang out with us sometime. We've got all kinds of cool things happening here. So come and spend some time, have a good laugh, maybe you'll learn something, you never know. Take it easy.